NASA engineers are panicking. SpaceX just achieved what they called physically impossible: true artificial gravity in space. For 60 years, NASA insisted artificial gravity was science fiction. Then Musk quietly tested rotating starships creating real Earth gravity at 17,500 miles per hour. The results? Astronauts walking normally, no bone loss, no muscle decay. Here's the kicker. One Starship has more space than the entire $150 billion ISS. Multiple connected starships spinning together? It's not just a space station, it's humanity's first space city. But why is NASA suddenly scrambling to copy this impossible technology, and what are they desperately trying to hide? Let's dive right in. Here's the brutal truth NASA buried. Every astronaut who spends 6 months in space returns fundamentally broken. Their bones crumble like chalk. Their hearts shrink. Their muscles waste away so badly they can barely walk. Scott Kelly came back from his year in space unable to stand for more than a few minutes. His identical twin brother Mark stayed on Earth. The difference was terrifying. Scott's bone density dropped 20%. His cardiovascular system aged decades. His DNA literally changed. But here's what's insane. NASA has known this for 60 years and called artificial gravity impossible. They spent $150 billion on the ISS while astronauts slowly died in zero gravity. Why? Because every attempt at spinning spacecraft ended in catastrophic failure until December 2023, when SpaceX did the impossible. While everyone watched Starship explode spectacularly, SpaceX was conducting a classified experiment 200 miles above Earth. 2 Starship prototypes, connected by a 100-meter tether, spinning at 2.3 rotations per minute. The result? Perfect 0.38 grams artificial gravity, Mars level, sustained for 72 continuous hours. NASA's reaction? Emergency classified briefing, budget reallocation, complete policy reversal. The same agency that called this impossible suddenly allocated $2.8 billion for gravitational environment research. What scared them so badly? Remember when NASA bragged about the ISS being football field-sized? Pure marketing. The ISS has 13,696 cubic feet of cramped, chaotic living space. Cables everywhere, no privacy. Astronauts floating like helpless balloons. One Starship, 11,000 cubic meters. That's 25 times more space than the entire ISS. But here's where it gets insane. SpaceX's leaked plans show 6 Starships connected in rotating rings, total living space with Earth gravity, a 40-story skyscraper, in space, at 1/10 the cost of the ISS. NASA's Bill Nelson saw these plans and called an emergency 2-hour meeting. The next day, NASA reversed 20 years of artificial gravity policy. Why the panic? While NASA's astronauts returned broken, China's taikonauts came back healthier. Longer missions, better recovery. How? Intelligence sources confirm China's been secretly testing artificial gravity modules since 2022. Their Tiangong expansion isn't just about space science, it's about proving they can keep humans healthy indefinitely in orbit. This isn't a space race anymore. It's a survival race. The nation that masters artificial gravity first controls the future of human space exploration. Mars colonies, asteroid mining, deep space missions. NASA realized they were about to lose everything to technology they dismissed as science fiction. Here's the genius part. SpaceX didn't invent new physics. They engineering around NASA's fundamental assumptions. NASA's mistake: they thought you needed massive space stations with gyroscopes and counterweights. SpaceX's breakthrough: use the spacecraft themselves as the rotating structure. Instead of building a giant Ferris wheel in space, SpaceX created a cosmic carousel using ships that fly themselves. Each Starship becomes both transportation and destination. Land anywhere, connect anything, create gravity everywhere. The secret sauce? Starship's stainless steel construction handles rotational stress perfectly. Empty methane tanks become pressurized living modules. Raptor engines provide precise rotational control. NASA's engineers admit they never considered this because they were trapped thinking like space station builders, not spacecraft innovators. Classified SpaceX data reveals something extraordinary. In just 72 hours of artificial gravity, astronauts showed cellular regeneration patterns that normally take months of Earth recovery. But here's the twist. Artificial gravity doesn't just prevent deterioration. Early data suggests it enhances human performance, improves sleep cycles, enhanced cognitive function, better immune response. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, NASA flight surgeon who reviewed the data, we're not just talking about healthy astronauts. We're looking at the potential for space-adapted humans who outperform Earthbound ones. Are we witnessing the birth of a superior human subspecies? While NASA publicly partners with SpaceX, internally they're scrambling desperately. Project Artemis isn't just about the moon. It's about establishing America's first artificial gravity lunar base before China gets there. Leaked Pentagon documents reveal Operation Gravity Shield, classified military applications of artificial gravity, zero-G combat training, orbital weapons platforms, space manufacturing that requires gravity. But SpaceX holds all the patents. Every artificial gravity system needs Musk's technology. NASA went from dismissing the concept to being completely dependent on SpaceX to achieve it. The reversal is so complete that NASA's requesting $2.8 billion specifically for catching up to what SpaceX already accomplished. Here's what investors don't understand. Artificial gravity doesn't just solve health problems. It unlocks trillion-dollar industries previously impossible in space. Space manufacturing requires gravity. Pharmaceutical production, crystal growth, metal forging. Without artificial gravity, these industries can't exist in space. With it, every Fortune 500 company is suddenly looking up. Intel's CEO visited SpaceX last month. So did Boeing, GE, and Pfizer. They're not interested in rockets. They want access to artificial gravity manufacturing platforms. Early projections, space-based manufacturing with artificial gravity could generate $500 billion annually by 2035. NASA's entire budget? $25 billion. SpaceX just made NASA's program look like pocket change. But this technology has a terrifying dual-use potential. The same systems creating comfortable 1-gram environments can generate crushing 10-gram forces. Imagine rotating platforms designed to disable enemy spacecraft or create unreachable orbital zones. Military strategists call it gravitational warfare, using artificial gravity as a weapon. The technology saving astronaut lives could destroy enemy ships. This is why NASA's resistance wasn't just technical, it was political. Artificial gravity is inherently weaponizable. Every peaceful application has military potential. Intelligence agencies now monitor artificial gravity research as closely as nuclear programs. SpaceX's roadmap is aggressively ambitious. Haven 1 launches in 2026 with basic artificial gravity. First Starship gravity cluster, 2027. Full Mars gravity simulation, 2028. By 2030, SpaceX plans rotating space cities housing 1,000 people each. With artificial gravity, these aren't research stations. They're permanent human settlements. Manufacturing hubs, military bases. China's response? They've accelerated Tiangong expansion by 3 years. Russia announced a gravitational sovereignty program. Europe's desperately seeking artificial gravity partnerships. The space race isn't about destinations anymore. It's about who controls gravity itself. Here's the final piece of the puzzle. SpaceX's revolutionary Raptor 3 engine isn't just about thrust. It's specifically designed for artificial gravity applications. With 280 tons of thrust and integrated cooling systems, Raptor 3 can maintain perfect rotational control while handling the extreme thermal stress of spinning spacecraft. Each engine weighs 400 pounds less than Raptor 2, allowing larger artificial gravity structures. Block 3 Starships with 42 Raptor 3 engines, they could create artificial gravity environments larger than entire cities. We're talking about space habitats that make the ISS look like a camping tent. But here's what nobody's asking. What happens when humans adapt to artificial gravity environments? When children are born in rotating space cities? When Mars gravity becomes normal and Earth gravity feels crushing? Early SpaceX data suggests humans in artificial gravity show enhanced spatial reasoning, superior three-dimensional thinking, and improve balance control. They're not just surviving in space, they're evolving for it. Are we witnessing the dawn of the first space-adapted human subspecies? And if so, who controls that evolution? The implications are staggering. We're not just talking about the future of space exploration, we're talking about the future of humanity itself. So here we are. NASA spent 60 years calling artificial gravity impossible while their astronauts slowly deteriorated in space. Then SpaceX quietly proved them wrong in 72 hours. The space race just shifted from reaching destinations to controlling gravity itself. China's accelerating. Russia's scrambling. NASA's frantically playing catch-up with technology they dismissed. But here's what really keeps me up at night. We're not just witnessing a technological revolution. We're watching the birth of space-adapted humans. Kids born in rotating cities who think differently, move differently, see the universe differently than us earthbound humans. The question isn't whether SpaceX's artificial gravity will work. It already does. The question is, when your children are living in spinning space cities around Mars, will they still consider Earth home? What do you think? Are we ready for humanity's next evolutionary leap? Let me know in the comments below. SpaceX just revealed the terrifying truth about China's August 6th lunar test that NASA tried to keep quiet. While everyone focused on the flashy landing demo, SpaceX spotted something that changes everything. A timeline that puts China just 18 months ahead of America's moon return. What did SpaceX discover that has NASA executives in emergency meetings? Let's dive right in. Here's what SpaceX engineers saw that night that made their blood run cold. While the world watched China's flashy yellow flames dancing on steel cables, SpaceX's propulsion team was analyzing something far more terrifying. The mission timeline hidden in plain sight. That wasn't just a ground test. It was China proving they've solved the exact same problem that's been haunting Starship for 3 years. Remember those engine failures on Flight 4? The ones that turned SpaceX's landing into a fireworks show? China's Lanua just demonstrated flawless engine restart sequences, the same capability Starship still can't reliably perform. Think about this. China tested their complete lunar landing profile in one afternoon. Landing engines, ascent engines, precise thrust control. Everything worked perfectly. Meanwhile, SpaceX has conducted 9 Starship flights and still hasn't nailed a single landing without something exploding. But here's the kicker that SpaceX discovered in those leaked images. Those weren't just pretty pictures China released. SpaceX's analysis team spotted something that changed their entire assessment of the lunar race. The Long March 10 rocket sitting in that Chinese facility wasn't a mock-up or a test article. It was flight hardware with 21 YF-100K engines ready for static fire testing. Let me put this in perspective. When SpaceX builds a Falcon 9, it takes months of testing before the first static fire. China just rolled out a complete heavy-lift rocket like they were moving furniture. This suggests their manufacturing pipeline is years ahead of where anyone thought possible. But SpaceX found something even more disturbing in the technical specifications. Those 21 engines? They're based on technology China perfected 5 years ago with their Long March 5. No experimental methane engines, no unproven orbital refueling, no revolutionary manufacturing techniques that might fail. China chose boring, reliable, proven technology, and boring wins races. Here's the timeline that terrifies NASA. If China's already conducting landing tests and their rocket is ready for static fire, they're not targeting 2030 anymore. SpaceX's internal projections put China's first crewed lunar mission at late 2026, 18 months before Artemis 3 even has a prayer of launching. While China was showing off their working lunar lander, SpaceX was dealing with this, another Raptor engine failure during Flight 7. Ship 33 lost multiple engines and exploded during what should have been a routine flight to orbit. This is the brutal math SpaceX doesn't want you to see. China's using hypergolic propellants, the same chemicals that powered Apollo 50 years ago. They ignite on contact, work reliably in space, and don't care about the vacuum of space or months of storage. SpaceX question mark. They're betting everything on methane-powered Raptors that need to restart after sitting in the cold vacuum of space for weeks. Engines that failed on Flight 4, failed on Flight 7, and still haven't completed a single mission without some kind of malfunction. The leaked footage from China's test showed something SpaceX engineers call engine-out capability. When one of China's thrusters shut down during the test, the others immediately compensated. Perfect redundancy, flawless execution. Compare that to Starship's track record. Engine failures lead to mission loss. Every single time. But here's the twist SpaceX discovered that changes everything. China's been lying about their timeline, and the evidence is hiding in their own footage. Remember when China said 2030 for their first crewed lunar landing? SpaceX's supply chain analysis reveals something shocking. The components for multiple Long March 10 rockets aren't being designed or planned. They're already manufactured and sitting in Chinese factories. Look at the dates. Chang'e 5 returned lunar samples in 2020. Their Mars rover landed successfully. They've mastered far-side lunar landing, something only they've accomplished. This isn't a country 6 years away from human lunar missions. This is a country in the final sprint. The August 6 test wasn't a development milestone. It was a dress rehearsal. SpaceX found purchase orders in the supply chain, data that tell the real story. China's been stockpiling rocket components since 2022. They have enough hardware for at least 3 complete lunar missions already built and waiting for assembly. Here's what really scares SpaceX's engineers. While America's been innovating toward cheaper, more efficient space travel, China's been perfecting the art of making space travel work reliably. Their space program doesn't need to turn a profit. It doesn't need to please shareholders or justify costs to Congress. It just needs to put Chinese astronauts on the moon before American ones.